Okay, we're trying something new here. See how it goes. One of the things, based on some feedback, was how can we minimize the pre-roll ads that come up? So for every 30 seconds of in-stream ads that you run, you get a 10-minute reprieve on pre-rolls. So we always start with a bit of a intro just to give people time to get the notification and get on before the whole thing starts. Some of the big streamers have like a 15-minute loading time. We certainly don't need that. We're not big enough yet. But one of the things I wanted to try and do was run a 60-second ad break so that way people drop right into the stream and we're off and rolling. So that is good news. Oh man, starting off with the party people in the first like 5 minutes. Agile Bikers in the house. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. It's been a while. I hope things are going well. A few follows offline happened. So Garfield and Inspiredio, we'll go with that. Thank you for the follow if you're there or not. Technobabble, good to see you. So today's initial topic is leadership. One of the things that I've been spending more and more of my time on is really thinking about what that is and why, unfortunately, there's not enough good examples for people to learn from. And I speak about that like from painful experience. As I think back in my career, if I had had really good, healthy, strong leadership examples, I felt like I could have accelerated my career a lot. Then on the other side, I wonder, would I really have learned the lessons if I didn't go through that School of Hard Knocks model of just having to stub my toe over and over again and learn it the hard way? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure everybody would just be happier with a stronger coach. One of the things, there's a PO that I work with, Pamela, that she sent me an article from someone, actually her sister, had an interview online and they asked her about the mentors that she had. And she had actually, the thing that she had the most was the anti-mentor. So those were the people that did the things that she didn't want to do. And I really connected with that and resonated with that because the middle part of my career was really built on stacking up all the things I didn't want to do when I was in that role. How can I ensure that I'm not that person when I'm in that role, when I'm asked to step up and lead? How do I make sure that I don't do those things that really bothered me, that disincentivized me? That's one of the things I'd like to hear from you guys is, do you feel like you've had stronger mentors or more of the anti-mentor model that has driven you? So I'd love to hear where you guys feel like that. Yeah, hazing can be like that. But it's one of those things where the lessons that stick with you the most are the ones that were the most painful. Whereas if somebody just gifts you, just hands you this thing, maybe you don't value it as much as if you had earned it the hard way. I'm not suggesting that hazing is a good thing, but throughout my life, the experiences where I was shaped the most were the things that really frustrated and bothered me. And I said, I'm not going to let that happen again. What had happened if those things never occurred? What if I didn't have to go through that tough patch? What if I didn't have to figure that out because someone just gifted it to me? I've always wondered, do I then have to have that stumble later in life? Like, is it inevitable to become the leader I aspire to be? Yeah, that's the thing, Agile Biker, is that a great leader and mentor can be an accelerant. But again, the whole reason why we're here, the one thing I want to talk about is really defining what leadership is. Yeah, anti-mentors. That was something I never thought of, but as I've talked to people about my career, it was always I lined up these series of things I didn't want to do or leaders I didn't want to be. I'd never heard someone crystallize it like that until I read that article. I was like, yes, that's the perfect wrapper on what I've been wrestling with. So, okay, leadership. And I'm speaking specifically about like executive leaders. I want to talk there and start there. I've had some discussions over the past weeks about product management roles, and should they be the CEO of the product? If so, what does the CEO of the company do then? And I made this whole list of things that an executive should be doing that has nothing to do with the product. As Jamie, I think it is like an indirect anti-mentor. It was fuel that you said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. Whether it was a mentor directly or just an example that you saw that was a little bit frustrating. Woo. So that's the thing. Ooh, we could ask my wife. She's coming upstairs. Oh, hey, everybody. Say hi. Here she comes. Miss America. I don't know the rest of the song. Do you know the rest of the song, dear? No? Oh. Okay. Oh no. It just ripped the cable right out of the wall. It was definitely attached. Well, it's still alive. No, I'm not lighting the candle of tranquility from Bob. Yeah, well, Bob says a lot of things. And Bob's voice does not make anything true. Oh, gosh. No. So there's this candle that we'll put here. Bob got on this kick that, and he has like 5 of these candles in his office, which is where we record the Metacast. And he was so excited about them because you might not be able to see on the bottom there, small, see, focus. It contains natural essential oils. And he was talking about how that transformed his office and how he was able to communicate more clearly and just be happier. And he wanted to gift me one. He thought he was doing a good thing. But I have a certain person in my life, aka my wife, who loves essential oils. They are not, and I am not on the essential oil train. So I like very angrily said, Bob, don't give me a candle. So that became this whole discussion and argument betwixt he and I. And then he forced me to bring one home and give it to Renee because he threatened if I didn't bring it home, then he would contact her and tell her that I was a bad husband for not bringing home a gifted candle. So here the candle sits. It is lit, as you see. I did not do it. I know. The boss lady uses it while she works. It doesn't solve any problem. Okay, so that's an ongoing battle that I will fight now on 2 fronts between my good friend Bob and my wife. Okay. So defining leadership. Agile biker. I get it. What I was trying to educate the group on is that for an organization of a certain size, this is a $100 million revenue company, there are a ton of things that executives could and should be doing that have nothing to do with the product. There should be an empowered, well-built, well-running product organization. When that's in place, those leaders then transform into supporting the organization in whatever way they can. That is building and maintaining a fantastic culture, providing all of the funding necessary by working with investors and or just the revenue streams that are in place. Ensuring that one of the things that I really believe in is that those leaders set the tone for turning that organization into a destination job. So that way you are supporting the organization by informing the rest of your area or region that this is a fantastic place to be. That takes effort and energy, though. I get that it's a style, Agile Biker, but those are things that I see leaders not doing. I see too many leaders getting deeper into the weeds on the product side and not focusing on those things that I think that they should be doing. I get you. So what I'm saying is that as a leader of an organization, the outcome I believe companies should have is a healthy, growing organization with the funding to do the things that they aspire to do, clarity around vision of who we are, who we want to be, and the values that drive us and every hire that happens. Correct, Agile Biker. I don't believe in anything other than self-organized success, because I don't believe that scales. I believe without self-organized teams, then you set a glass ceiling on your future. There is going to be a point where you will not be able to maintain the success you are currently having because you cannot scale the things that are required to continue that success. "100% agree. There are people that value that. What I'm trying to say is that I think these are the things that leaders should value and should put first. Those are the things that I've seen firsthand, that I've done firsthand, that have enabled me to build truly self-organized, empowered teams that did amazing things. And one of the key bits of that success was me stepping back and supporting them in any way that I could. That was hard. That was really hard, especially as a product engineering type person that started out as a developer and having to let go 100% of the time. But that to me, what I wanted to talk about Agile Biker, 100% agree. What I'm talking about is the vision of where I believe leaders and organizations should aspire to be. That is not a flip of a switch where you walk in and say, hey, we're doing this now. You have to, as a great leader, transition the company from where they're at to where you aspire them to be. That's the hard, messy part. That's the real challenge. Coaching them and yourself through that. Okay, I want to go back to a couple of comments that came through when I went on my candle diatribe. So Lynn, I think that's one of those things where those formative years where things didn't go as well as you wanted, you had an option. You had a choice of how you were going to respond to that. Do I pick myself up, dust myself off, try and get better? Yes, you did that. Would it have been easier? Would you have been more effective sooner if you had a really effective, fantastic coach that put your success first? And that's the hard part. Not that people don't want others to be successful, but the hard part is letting go and empowering. One of the analogies that I always use is a coach in the professional sports world. Once the game starts, there's not really anything they can do. Their job to drive change and preparation for that game is over. Yes, there's little tweaks that can be made. There's strategic alterations that can be made. But in the end, you had a certain period of time to prepare the team to go out and win that game. When that whistle blows, you're pretty much along for the ride. So as a leader, what I look for is I try and find those moments where that whistle blows, both to start the game and to end the game. Where are the right places for me to push in and do heavy coaching? What are those right moments when the game starts? And I really need to let the team play the game based on the information and the preparation that I've helped give them leading up to that. Sprint review is one of those moments where we push the team out there, we push them forward. They show the world, this is what we did. This is what we like to do. You get that feedback. That is the game for me. That is the moment when the team steps out there, says, hey, here we go. The game started. We might hear some boos. We might hear some cheers. There might be a penalty flag thrown. There's all kinds of options there. So those are the moments that I look for a good leadership. Lynn, I do think the whole leadership thing, that debate around, is it something that can be taught, or is it you're just born with it? I'd be interested to hear. Actually, I can create a poll. Let's create a poll. Here we go. Creating a poll. All right. As I type, here we go. Oh, this is the first time I think we've done this. Is leadership something, if I can type, that can be taught? I have my views. Let's see what you guys think. All right, we'll put that up there for 3 minutes. We'll see what happens. I've never done this. All right, I pushed all the buttons. You guys should be seeing a poll at some point. Hopefully. Oh, there we go. In the top of the chat. Yep, it says current poll. We'll get those votes in. We have 11 people here right now. I think some of them are like Twitch bots that come in and monitor things. It is exciting, Brave Dave. We're trying something new. So I do have my opinion. I do want to withhold it until the end. This should be a both answer. Well, then I guess use the maybe if you like the both. Although I won't say anything else. I don't want to poison the well with any of my comments like it's like a sizing exercise. Doing planning poker or anything like that. I don't want to do that. And I'm sure there are people that are out there that have read a book that I've not read. That explains all of this. I'm sure Kraz457, when I talk to him next, will opine for quite a while about the books I should have read. That would have explained this to me. Ooh, sippy cup. Yeah, I don't know. I can see. Actually, I think you guys can see the users in chat too. So in the top right of the stream chat, there's two little like persons or an icon that represents that. And I think you can see the list of all the users that are in the chat. I find that helpful to see what's going on. Agile Jamie Collins, how's the weather over there, my friend? All right, well, I'm gonna vote and make it a tie right now. So we are tied 2-2 with a yes and a maybe. Interesting that no one said no. I was expecting more people to say no. So far, maybe we'll get others. Yeah, the contract world is... Okay, we finished. The poll is complete. That wasn't too bad. We might do more of those. So I view that if you think there's anything that can be taught about leadership, then I think the answer is yes. I think it's very similar to, I'll go back to sports. I know I do that a lot. Sometimes I apologize that, sometimes I don't. I'm not going to apologize this time. There are athletes that are bound to be better than others at a specific skill. Leadership, to me, is a skill. Leadership can be refined. There are, just like in some sports, there are some athletes that will find it very difficult to play the sport of soccer. One of my oldest son's best friends lives a couple doors down, and we were playing soccer in the cul-de-sac yesterday. And man, that kid tries hard. Kicking a ball is not a skill he's been blessed with. If he practiced it more and more, he would get better at it. Would he have to practice more than someone that is more naturally gifted at kicking? Yes. Could he get there? Could he achieve the same level of kicking prowess? I think eventually. But it would take a lot of time and effort and passion to get there. I think leadership is the same way. I believe if you have the passion to become a really fantastic leader, you can get there. Just with that sports analogy, if our friend James had an English Premier League coach come over and provide him continuous coaching, he would accelerate faster. Just as good mentors would help us accelerate faster. I believe it is a skill that can be taught. I do believe that different people, as in many things in life, will accelerate through that learning curve at different paces. But I am a firm believer in hard work and desire, that if you want to make something happen, you will. You will put in the effort and energy and have the grit to work through the tough times to make it happen. Are there things you can do, you can put in place to make that learning curve accelerate? Yes. Find a great coach. Get help. All those things. So I do understand it is a bit of a both, but I do believe everybody has it within them to become a great leader. Just as you can become a great whatever, but others will be more naturally gifted, more naturally talented at a thing. But one can get there. Okay, so we are about at the halfway point. What I'd like to ask of folks, I'm going to run a 30-second ad to prevent pre-rolls for other people coming into the stream. One of the things I'd like to ask you guys is, what are those leadership questions that you guys have, or the frustrations? Maybe there's a situation in the leadership realm that you'd like to put on the table that this group of fine people can help with, because we got a powerhouse group as usual. So I'm going to run a 30-second ad. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button or hit the follow button if you haven't followed. Your subscription may be free. If you have Amazon Prime, you can connect that. So I'm going to come back in 30 seconds, and I'm looking forward to hearing what challenges we can help with. If you're subscribed, you might not be seeing an ad. So we'll see how that goes. I've yet to figure out exactly who sees ads and who doesn't. Okay. We are back. Oh no. The internet cable from Devonshire was cut. Agile Jamie Collins got half of his message sent across the wire, and then it stopped. And I'm assuming it's pronounced Devonshire, not Devonshire. Okay. I think yes, but I'd like to understand what your team is defining admin as. That's one of those, that's one of those squishy terms that would be defined different in different places. So I think that term servant is interesting. I don't believe it means that you're the butler, that you go and fetch them a nice warm cup of tea. Okay. So booking Scrum events in people's calendars. I find it useful to have one person manage those, especially if it's across multiple teams. One of the things that I like to do, though, as a Scrum Master, to help infuse that Scrum Master mindset within your team, is I like to rotate responsibilities for that Scrum Master role, or sometimes for the PO role, across the team. It's really easy to be not a great teammate in a ceremony when you've never had to be that person up in front trying to get the team to engage in the necessary discussion for that ceremony to be successful. I found that putting people in that scenario of, okay, you're leading refinement today, you're leading planning today, that challenge of what life is like working with a team that doesn't engage fully, that isn't investing in that ceremony, when the tables are turned, I found that that is a very successful model to change behaviors. Hey, this is what life's like when you don't engage. That next ceremony, that person's going to be way more engaged. And you know what? If they're not engaged after that, then maybe they're not going to get it. And maybe it's not the right place for them. So I've had most of the Agile coaches that I've been around, they own the scheduling of the ceremonies. And that's usually because there's multiple teams, multiple rooms. It's just simpler to have one person kind of negotiate all of that operational stuff, as opposed to having people try and figure out ad hoc. But in the end, I found that Scrum events should kind of set them up once, maybe it gets a little wonky because there's a holiday or there's an event and you need to change things and that person owns that, but that's about it. I don't see any problem with that. What I would have an issue with is if that servant leadership really turns into, um, hey, my coat's over there. I'm cold. Can you go get that? It's like, okay, just be an adult, and then we're back to normal. But there are times where I have taken on a very heavy traditional, as I talked, servant role when things are in bad shape, and the most important thing I can do is provide that team or that person with the necessary focus to tackle that situation. Maybe there's a really bad bug that's going on and it needs to get fixed quickly, and they're the best person to tackle that. So whatever I can do to remove any obstacle from them being able to focus on that, I'll do. I'll order lunch. I'll go get it. Whatever needs to get done, I'll do. But that's one of those exception cases. That's not every day. This is like, okay, this is unique. Like we need you to like not have to go do the normal things because we need you to apply your special power towards this problem as much as possible. So we're going to remove as much distraction as possible. Yeah, adults. It is amazing. Adults can be problematic at times. So, one of the things that I really encourage you guys to do is that if that's a recurring problem, what can you do in your role to change that? There's a couple key points where you can have a strong effect on that in the hiring process. What are the questions? What are the traits you can identify to understand if this person is going to be an adult or not? That's a tremendous opportunity to do that. Agree. And that's that same thing that, Deming gets quoted a lot for a reason. When we started this discussion, I don't know who all was here at the time when I was in a bit of a dialogue with Agile Biker about what I'm trying to encourage leaders to do is to have that be the number one focus. What are the things that I as a leader, as an executive, should be doing to enable the team, the organization to be successful? I think it gets down to vision, culture, awareness of the organization, funding of the organization. So those types of things. Yeah, Jamie, you're right. That's not a great example. It might be a collection of people that are tackling that, or maybe it's the person that created the bug that has intimate knowledge. I certainly would want the team to swarm around that. So no desire for a single heroic action. But there are moments when like that's the thing. Like we need to remove the normal distractions that are okay on a regular situation, but we have to remove those. Yeah, I gotcha. I am not a fan of situations where it's, oh, that's Jamie's code or that's Technobabble's code. Like that's not a good situation. Collective ownership is really the thing that we're looking for. So the other thing, getting back to how do you change that? How do we act like adults? I've been pretty aggressive with coaching items. I think I can use a tool here. Product menu. Okay. So I use So this is a book. See that product mention. It's in our list of recommended books. Debugging Team. So there's two books that I use. I use Debugging Teams as an introduction to teams of this is what a good teammate looks like. To Lynn's point, this is what an adult looks like. This is how we operate. Because, unfortunately, there aren't enough really good examples that people have from their career history to say, oh, yeah, that's how I should behave. And unfortunately, there haven't been enough leaders or good coaches along the way to show them how they should be operating, to show them what a great team looks like. So they're trying hard, they're doing all the things they can, but they've not been armed with what that destination looks like. So I use two books. First is that book, Debugging Teams. I've used it for years now and have been quite successful with that. The next one, how do I do? Okay, the next one is one that I'm sure many people have heard, Crucial Conversations. So this is the follow-up. So we first read Debugging Teams. That defines the what. That defines this is our destination. This is the finish line. This is what we're looking to become. This is that end state. We then use Crucial Conversations to arm the team with tools of how to talk to each other to enable them to get there. That's the tool belt that I hand to teams to say, okay, now we know how to, or now we know what the destination looks like. Cool. I know I want to go to California. I have no freaking clue how to get there. What do I do? Somebody hands me a map or an airplane ticket. That shortens my discovery of how to get there. So this is that map on how you get to that great team. I've had a lot of success with that. And we treat it just like a book club, or just like you're in school and there's a book report. We read a few chapters. We then discuss it. Yeah, I've heard a lot around Radical Candor. I have not read it myself. Bob, co-host of the Metacast, is a huge proponent of Radical Candor. There's some folks where I work most of my days that are big on Radical Candor as well. So it appears to also be a powerful book. Yeah, I didn't initially read Crucial Conversations until I was like forced to by a friend. And I should have done it sooner. But if you have not, read Crucial Conversations, and the groundswell of support for Radical Candor is pretty amazing. So that's one of those things I clearly need to put on my list to get done. Since so many people I know and respect have mentioned how fantastic that is. Okay, so before we did our 30-second break, I said, what can we do? What can we tackle? Agile Jamie Collins threw out his question. I think we addressed it. I hope we addressed it. What else is there? What else is bugging you? What's frustrating? What's not going as well as you would like? FYI, I got to end the stream like on time today. Got to meet somebody a half hour after the stream ends, after the stream is scheduled to end. So I got to make sure that I do that. All right, well. Have we reached The end. Have we done it? Have we, as Bob would say, have we stuck a fork in it? Because that's how he ends every episode. Did we stick a fork in this? Yes, Bob, we did. All right, well, as I start to wrap things up, that's usually when fantastic question comes in, so I'm trying to I'm trying to stall just enough before I sign off. But if not, that's okay. I will be here throughout the holidays. Have every intent to stream every Friday. Between, oh yeah, deep. Well, hey, listen, if you have deep thoughts and you want to continue the discussion, there's always Discord to continue that discussion. There's your link. Because I am one of those like processors. Oh, brave Dave. No estimates. Yes, I do. See, that's it. Always happens like that. I always like, well, okay, I guess we answered all the questions. I'm just about ready to flip on the stream ending scene, and then there it comes. I'm gonna do that like every 10 minutes. So Ryan Ripley is a good friend. I've not read the No Estimates book. I have toyed with the concept of no estimates, and I even threw out to a team, one of the best teams I've ever had the opportunity to be a part of. I threw out the option of removing estimates. That team, one of the teams I'm most proud of, actually, through a relatively long discussion, what they came to was that they found value in the angst of trying to provide an estimate for something. That angst drove what they believed to be the necessary discussion to really clearly define what the work is. It happened because they were a great team. We had read both of those books. Actually, that team at that point had done that twice, so we've been through that exercise twice. They were fantastic at communicating with each other, having crucial, difficult conversations about what something is or isn't. And they were worried that if they remove that requirement of saying something's an 8-point story versus a 3-point story, and then having your peer say, well, why do you think that's an 8? And then having to articulate why, they found that those were the moments where they gained clarity on what that story was that enabled them to then be successful in the subsequent sprint. I do think there is a potential for, as you mentioned, Brave Dave, that a 100% mature agile team to do it well. But the most mature team I've ever been a part of found value in those moments and those discussion topics, and they were fearful that they wouldn't be forced to have those very important discussions without that angst around sizing. And gosh, what is this? And then it really helped them think through what it was and what it wasn't. So I do think No Estimates is one of those aspirational places that you can go. I don't think it's something, as Brave Dave mentions, that a immature team should jump to. It's one of those, hey, let's do this because it's easier. But it's not. It's not easier. It's actually harder. So I think it's an aspirational goal. I think it's very similar to when I am coaching a Scrum Master, or I hire a Scrum Master, I tell them that their job is to put themselves out of a job. That never really happens. But my aspiration for them is to infuse their Scrum Mastery into the entire team so that they operate without them. They can operate, they can be as effective as possible without them. that's in the math world one of those asymptotic things where you'll get infinitely close, but you'll never really get there. Maybe I'd have to invest more in learning what that slicing really is, what the slicing conversation is. It might be the same thing. But that team, the reason why I threw out the concept of do points really matter anymore is they had gotten very good at breaking things down into small chunks that were all kind of about the same, and they just kind of knew. So it might be similar, but I haven't invested enough to really be able to answer that effectively. Sorry. Those of you that have been on the stream for a while, the number of books that you all have read versus the number of books that I have read is a very imbalanced situation. Yep. Cool. All right, well, I'm really signing off this time. No matter what question you guys throw out there, that's it. I'm hitting the button. You can't stop me. Okay, so as a reminder, I will be on every Friday through the end of the year and through the start of the new year. So I look forward to seeing you if you can. If you guys are traveling or with family, enjoy the time with your family, and I'll see you the next time you can join. So as always, thanks for being a part of this. The stream is only as good as the people in the community. Me sitting here talking to a webcam, not a lot of value in that. The value is in you guys engaging in the discussion. So I thank you for doing that each and every week. I look forward to continuing that, and I will see everyone next Friday.